It's him and I.
This fence behind me should only take 1 day to stain. Let me give you the information you need so you can do your fence in 1 day. But this fence behind me took 3 days to stain. Let me tell you the mistakes I made so you can avoid them. Let's get into the video. YouTube, welcome to the channel. If you don't know by now, my name is Marcos and this is Equipment Out Pressure Washing. Today, we are gonna do a fence staining. This fence right here, I did a pressure washing job on this in the last video. If you haven't seen it, go check that video out. I'm just gonna do probably this back side and maybe whatever I can do because it's kind of late in the afternoon. This job may take a couple of days just because of how late it is and how the weather's been holding up. Normally I can get this done in 1 day. I got everything ready. We're gonna go ahead and start this time lapse. Enjoy. Okay, let me explain something about this fence and when you're staining it. When you're staining the fence with a sprayer, make sure that you check on the other side of the fence so you won't have any overspray to go over on anything. If you do, take a shield or either some cardboard to put on the top of the fence to stop it from traveling over a long distance. If there's nothing behind it, it's most likely it's going to travel probably like maybe no more than 10 feet. So if something is like 15, 20 feet back, you shouldn't have to worry about it. It's gonna fall to the ground. But if it's close, within 3 or 4 feet, make sure you use something on top of the fence. The other thing that you need to do when you're staining the fence is you need a back brush. Basically, you put one coat, good even coat that's kind of heavy, and then take a brush and brush it in. Normally, I can do probably like maybe 12 to 13 boards. When it's not too hot, even though it's getting dark right now, it is still kind of warm, so it's drying fast. So what you want to do is probably do about four or five boards and then go back and back brush. So you just keep doing that all the way down the fence. It's not going to take you no much longer, but it's going to give you better results. Okay, YouTube, it's a couple of days later. I'm now just getting back over here because of the weather. And like I said, I let it get dark on me because I started so late in the afternoon. But if you do a job like this, you should be able to do it all in 1 day. If you start that morning, you should be through before it get dark. Before I get too far ahead of myself, let me explain a couple of things to you so you can use these tips to stain your fence. The first thing you need to know is how much stain do you need to get. I count the panels so I know how much stain I need to get. When I say panels, if you look at this, okay, you have this pole here and this pole here. In between now, that's a panel. So what you want to do, you want to count your panels. So For every 5 panels that you have, that's gonna take 1 gallon of stain. So remember, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 1 gallon. But on the back side of the fence, you gotta have another gallon. So for every 5 that you count, that's gonna be 2 gallons, because that'll be back and front. If you're just gonna do just one side of the fence, every 5 panels is 1 gallon. Tip number 2, this is done just like you do a deck. You gotta do a cut-in next to a house or anything that you do not want to get stain on. So what I mean by cut-in, I'm gonna take a brush and I'm gonna brush this panel and this panel right here. Get at least 2 off, maybe 3, so you can, when you use your spray gun, you're not gonna get any stain on the side of the house. Now you can use some type of shield to put in between the house and the fence, and when you spray it, you just spray real lightly. But the best way to do it, to be on the safe side, is to use a brush or a roller. But I always brush my stuff. I don't never use a roller on anything. On the back side of the fence, you're pretty much not gonna be able to use a sprayer right here. So take your brush, brush that 1 panel, brush the inside, and well, brush this whole 4x4 so that way you can get this covered. Now, if you have rocks or something on the ground, you can take a rake and pull the rocks back. If it's grass, don't worry about it. It's gonna grow out, and then you can just cut it. So you can take a rake and pull your rocks back. If you have gravel like this, get your some kind of drop panel to cover the rocks up. Next tip that you need to know is that you need to tape off your hardware. To me, the fence look better if you leave your hardware black and don't paint it the same color unless the customer wants it painted that color. Best thing to do, I'll show you in the video. I'm gonna take tape and I'm gonna tape all this stuff off right here. I'm gonna take this off right here, and then I'm just gonna take my spray and spray it. So I am going to get down into cutting the little sections out in the middle, so that way it gets stained in there. So the way I'm going to do that is just tape everything up. Then I'm going to take a box cutter or something with a sharp blade, some type of blade or razor, and I'm going to trim all this stuff out. Which is a number 510. So 5 is how wide it's going to spray. 10 is how much stain is going to come out of your sprayer. So the number 5 is multiplied by 2, which is going to give you 10 inches. So your sprayer tip is going to spray out 10 inches. So take the first number that you see on your tip, multiply it by 2, and that's going to give you how wide your tip is going to spray. I'm going to start from the bottom, work my way up. The reason I'm doing that is because I can cut down on my overspray. Spraying it on the ground is a lot better than spraying it in the air. So starting at the bottom and come up, and then when you get to the top, you just stop. You're gonna have less overspray. Because what you don't want to do is try to aim and get to the top of the fence and miss, or you're too low, you're too high. So it's best to just shoot low on the fence, and then when you come up, it's gonna you can stop right on time as soon as you get past the fence. All right, so here we go. Brush and back brush. Okay, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish. I'm gonna go ahead and start the time lapse back, and we're gonna get this part of the fence done, and then we're gonna jump onto the inside. These are dog ears. What you need to do, you need to make sure that you hit the top of the fence when you're staying. All right, YouTube, I'm gonna have to call it a night. I didn't get over here early enough, so now I gotta come back tomorrow morning to finish up. So tomorrow, I promise we're gonna finish this. All right, I see you tomorrow. All right, guys, it's the next morning, day 3 on this video. We're gonna get it done today, I promise. So if you wash your deck and before you got it stained, it rained, make sure that you clean the bottom part of the deck or anything that splashes up from the rain onto the deck. So just take an old brush and brush it off before you stain. That way you won't be painting on top of the dirt. So when you go back and knock the dirt off, it's gonna leave spots and stuff on your fence. So make sure that you dust everything off. At the top of the fence, if you see, let's see, right there, this top part of the fence, that's what you call dog ears. One thing people don't realize they need to do is paint the top of the fence. If you put paint on top of the fence, that'll stop water from going down into the fence. So the way I do this is I just take my sprayer and I'm gonna go across the top of the fence one way at an angle and then go back the opposite way at an angle. That way I'm getting 2 coats on it. Now, if you look at the top of the fence, it has stain on it going that way. And if you look right here, it has stain going that way. And this is the side that I haven't done yet. You see how it looks when you don't put any stain at the top. So no stain, keep going down. Bam, you start seeing stain. To me, it looks better. And like I said, when you do this, it may not cover everything, but you at least have some type of protection at the top. A lot of people just skip that part. So at least put something up there. A better way that you can do this, you can take a roller and roll the top of the fence. That may give you better coverage, but when you do that, you're gonna have to go back and probably go on both sides of the fence to clean it up, because you're gonna have run marks on both sides of the fence. But I think the way I do it, it's good enough. Now I know a lot of people is going to say something about the way I stain fences. A lot of people would like to go up and down on each of the boards, which is true. You do that. That way you won't leave no marks or anything on the fence where you stop. Now, to me, the key thing is to keep a wet edge, and that wet edge will allow you to keep going across the whole panel without even leaving any marks. Now, this is still wet. What I was doing in the past was I would spray this part, and I might go down 5 or 6 boards and then come back and just go up and down. But when I found out what was happening is you have the dry area right here and this is wet. But when everything dries, you really have 2 coats around this area and 1 coat in the middle. So it leaves like a little square, or where you put 1 coat and 2 coats. So the best thing to do is do a whole panel. That way you won't have issues with overlap marks. Like I said, keep a wet edge. Just do a couple of panels and you're good to go. Okay, finally, this fence is done. I want to go ahead and walk through and show you what the final product looks like, and I'll show you, I'm gonna point out the mistakes and stuff I did, and maybe still give you a few more tips. So let's take a look. This is the section that I just finished. It still may be a little bit wet over here. And this is starting to dry. So that's what it looks like after it dries. Now this section right here, this was done yesterday. So this is completely dry to the touch. You shouldn't have to worry about anything. Now notice that all the stain is even. You don't see any overlap marks. That's because I kept a wet edge when I did this. If you don't keep a wet edge, you're gonna have overlap marks. This is the gate area. I started peeling some of this off right here last night, so that way I didn't paint this. You don't want to paint the hardware on a gate. It just doesn't look good to me if you paint it. So you can tape it up, or either you can have some screws or some tools and take it off. I recommend not to do that. It may not go back in correctly. So this is the outside of the fence. I'm gonna show you something right here. This is the area that I taped up the other day. Let's take it off and see what it looks like. Okay, that is it. See, that looks better right there. Now, what happened right here, you see the marks? That's probably because when I sprayed the inside of the fence, that bled through. Well, it didn't bled through. I hit it because I didn't tape that side. This is the inside, but of course, when you close the fence, you're gonna see that little area right there. So easy fix. Take a wire brush. And that should fix the problem. So I'm gonna finish that in a little bit. Also, what you can do, you can take some mineral spirits or some paint remover and just wipe it on, take your brush and brush it off. That make it go faster. That looks way better than painting the hardware. So make sure that you cover your hardware or either take it off. But like I said, it's better to just tape it up and be through with it. Okay, so the rest of the fence. It's right there. And keep in mind, this is only one coat. You shouldn't have to put 2 coats on the fence. Just make sure that you have your sprayer turned up enough and don't go too fast when you go over each of the boards. This is the back side of the fence. The customer already seen this part. They're happy with it. One thing about when you stain the fence, in probably like 5 years or so, when you put another coat back here, it's gonna make it look better. As long as you keep the fence up, it's gonna last a long time, and each time you stain it, it's gonna get better and better. From this point, if you decide to stain the fence again, if you wanna go with another color, it's not gonna make a difference. It's gonna still look better because you have some type of protection on the wood, and then you're increasing the protection because you're adding another coat over the protection coat that you already have. One thing about stain, it lasts longer than a clear coat. Clear coat, you don't have to worry about covering a lot of things up because it's clear. But the only problem is it only lasted 6 months. That's the reason I recommend people to use stain. All right, let's go to the other side. All right, this is the outside of the fence on the opposite side of the house. We did this a couple of days ago, but it looks good too. One thing that I always recommend people to do when they're staining fence in the decks. Use a sprayer and then go back and back brush it with a brush. That way you won't have to worry about the paint being uneven, and also it pushes the stain inside the wood. Spraying it does help because, like I said, you can get inside them little holes and cracks and stuff where a brush and a roller won't do. A brush would probably do it, but you're gonna be out there all day and you're not gonna be happy with yourself. So just spraying it and then going back and brushing it in is so much faster because you already know that you got coverage with the sprayer. You don't have to spend much time on it brushing it in because you already got coverage. You just want to make sure that it's on it even, that's all. So let's go back on the inside and look at a couple more things. Okay, that's their entire fence. Every 5 pounds that you have on the fence, that's equal to 1 gallon of stain. So on this fence right here, there was 25 panels and I got a 5-gallon bucket. The problem and the mistake that I made with that was it's 25 panels, yes, on this side, but I had to do the outside, so I needed another 5 gallons to do the outside, so I needed exactly 10 gallons. That is one of the mistakes that I made when I was staining this fence, and one of the reasons that it took so long to get this fence done. Another thing that I did when I came out here, it was late in the afternoon trying to get the fence done. If you're staining the fence, you need to start early in the day and work throughout the day. It may take a little bit of time, it may go by fast, but if you start early in the day, you should be able to get this fence done in one day. It doesn't take long, but if you stop and start a lot, or if you have to leave and go get stain because you didn't get enough stain, it's gonna push your time back and you're not gonna get it finished. Especially if you're running a business, you wanna make sure that you have everything that you need so you don't have to leave and lose time and money. Okay, everybody, that's gonna wrap up this job and it's gonna wrap up this video. I hope that you found the information that you need in the video. If you didn't, that means you skipped over a lot of it and you need to go back and watch it. If you found this video entertaining, please hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll know when my next video is coming out. Videos like this one up in the corner. This is Marcos from Aquemini Pressure Washing, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
It's him and I, Aquemini.